We've all got this idea of what ChatGPT is for, right? It's for writing code, maybe drafting a tricky email, or helping the kids with their homework. But what if I told you that data paints a completely different picture? A new paper from the National Bureau of Economic Research has pulled back the curtain on our actual AI habits, and trust me, what they found is not what you'd expect.
Okay, first, let's just let this number sink in for a second. This isn't some niche tool for tech nerds anymore. As of the middle of 2025, we're talking 700 million weekly active users. That is roughly 1 in 10 adults on the entire planet using this thing every single week. The speed at which this has been adopted is, well, it's completely unprecedented.
All right, so that's the big question, isn't it? With hundreds of millions of people logging on, what are they actually trying to get done? The common wisdom, the story we hear all the time, is that this is a productivity revolution. It's changing how we all work and study. But the data suggests that story might be missing the biggest part of the puzzle.
And the data starts to give us an answer by showing this fundamental split in our behavior. Are we using AI as a tool for our jobs, or has it become something way bigger, a tool for our actual lives?
Look, the narrative we've all been sold, and the one a lot of us probably believe, is that ChatGPT is a productivity engine, pure and simple. It helps programmers squash bugs, it helps marketers write copy, it helps managers draft reports. It's sold as the ultimate assistant for the workplace. But here is the first major shocker from the data. By mid-2025, the balance has just completely flipped. The numbers show that non-work-related use now accounts for over 70% of all messages sent. It's absolutely dwarfing work-related use. So yeah, that whole story about it being just a work tool, it kind of falls apart when you look at the numbers.
And it's this explosion in personal use that's really driving the insane growth of AI. It seems like we're bringing it into our lives to help with hobbies, plan our weekends, answer everyday questions, way faster than we're integrating it into our jobs.
Okay, so if we're not all using it for our 9 to 5, what exactly is all this personal stuff we're doing? Well, the data breaks it down into 3 really surprising, really big categories.
Get this. It turns out that almost 80% of everything people do on there falls into just 3 buckets: practical guidance, seeking information, and writing. And you'll notice they're all pretty much evenly split. So you can forget the idea that it's all about coding or something specific. It shows just how incredibly diverse our conversations with AI have really become.
So let's zoom in on that biggest slice: practical guidance. This isn't just asking for facts. This is us seeking out personalized life advice. We're talking how-to guides for fixing something, brainstorming creative ideas for a passion project, or getting health and fitness tips. And this is wild. A full 10% of all messages sent to ChatGPT are about tutoring and teaching. Think about that. Education has just quietly become one of its absolute core jobs.
Okay, now this next idea from the research, honestly, I think this is the most profound insight in the whole thing. It gives us a completely new framework for thinking about our relationship with AI. It's not just about what we do, it's about the intent behind why we're prompting it in the first place.
So what they did was split our prompts into 2 basic camps: asking and doing. Doing is what we usually think of, right? We tell the AI to perform a task. We write this email, write that code. It's AI as a worker. But asking is totally different. That's when we're looking for information to help us make a better decision. It's AI as a co-pilot for your brain, helping you think through a problem. And here's the real kicker. Not only is asking growing faster than doing, but people actually report being happier, more satisfied with those asking interactions. What this is telling us, loud and clear, is that we're getting more value from AI as a thought partner and an advisor than we are as a simple task doer. We want it to help us think, not just do the work for us.
All right, so we know the what, but what about the who? Who are all these people? Well, the profile of the typical ChatGPT user has also been changing in some really surprising ways. Let's start with a big one. You know how new tech, especially in the early days, tends to be a bit of a boys' club? It almost always skews heavily male. Well, with ChatGPT, that's just not the case anymore. The gender gap hasn't just gotten smaller, it's gone. In fact, check out this quote directly from the paper. It's pretty mind-blowing. In the early days, about 80% of users had names that are typically masculine. By mid-2025, that number had plummeted to 48%. That means a slight majority of weekly users now have typically feminine names. That is a gigantic demographic shift for any major tech platform.
And it's not just gender. The user base is changing in other huge ways too. Nearly half of all messages come from people under the age of 26, which makes this a profoundly young technology. And if you look at a world map, the growth has been fastest not in the wealthiest countries, but in low and middle income nations. This thing is truly going global.
Okay, so we've just gone through a ton of data. It's more for our life than our work, we're asking more than we're doing, and the users are young, global, and gender balanced. So, what does it all mean? Why does any of this matter?
Well, when you piece it all together, a totally new picture of AI's role in our world starts to form. Maybe this whole conversation we've been having about AI automating jobs, while it's important, is actually missing the much bigger story. The data strongly suggests that the most profound impact of AI might be in augmenting our ability to think, to learn, and to make decisions in our everyday, personal lives.
And this idea holds up even when we look specifically at the workplace. The paper concludes that the main way ChatGPT actually makes workers better is by providing decision support. Basically, it's not about cranking out reports faster. It's about helping knowledge workers make smarter calls. It's a tool for thought, first and foremost.
So that leaves us with this really fascinating question to chew on. As this technology keeps evolving at this incredible pace, maybe its true purpose, its ultimate destination, isn't to replace what humans do at all, but to become a deeply personalized co-pilot for the human mind, helping every single one of us learn, create, and navigate the complexities of our world just a little bit better.